Hello, everybody out there on the internet. Welcome to a mini episode of Aimless Babble Z. We'll call it filler number whatever it is, because it's not really a full episode. It's a filler of the last filler.
No,
I guess not the last filler, but it's another filler. I don't know what
we,
the number is.
we can't go back to filler.
I'll look
We
it up.
can't do
But
it.
it's not a full episode RPG. So yeah, CES stuff happened. What happened, Tropical?
Well, I think the most exciting part is they finally announced when Gaikai, or as in now and forever on. That's weird. Anyway, yeah, from now on, Gaikai will be known as PlayStation Plus because
PlayStation
clearly
Now.
that's a lot. That's right. It's only PlayStation Now. Whoops. Because yeah, that's just so much easier to remember. And I think it's more ambitious than people thought. I kind of had this feeling that's where it was going, but in addition to streaming to PS4, PS3, and PS Vita, it's also going to stream to so much Bravia easier to TVs, tablets, smartphones, and desktops, and eventually, they're saying beyond just Sony products.
Why would they do that?
Because in RPG, I could buy a smart Bravia and be like, I don't even need no console.
Well, that's
App.
what I'm, no,
Click,
no,
click,
I mean
click,
like,
click, or whatever. Oh yeah, let me play some whatever on my Bravia. Yeah.
no, I meant streaming to anything that's not a Sony product. That's
I'm
what I was saying. It's like,
I'm,
no,
or
obviously
any
I know why they're
other
gonna stream.
non-Sony brand smart TV.
Because I mean, I know why they would stream to their own stuff. Obviously.
Well,
Stupid
it's actually pretty. So I've been thinking about it all day, and one of the reasons why is because the first thing when you hear about it, it sounds like magic. It's like, can this really work? And they actually have 4 games playable through PlayStation Now at the show floor, and so far all the impressions I've seen are like, yeah, I mean you can tell that it's streaming, but it works really well. The picture quality, like after a while, someone described it as if you've been watching lots of Blu-ray and then you go back and you watch DVD.
Why would you do that?
Your first impression is sort of like, oh my gosh, it looks terrible. But after a while, you're just like you're into whatever you're watching, and then that just sort of fades away. And that's what people. That's the impression I'm kind of getting of PlayStation Now. The games don't look quite as good as if they were being played natively on PlayStation hardware, but it's still very playable and the experience is really good. And it's just like, that's pretty amazing.
Is it though?
But yeah, so why would they stream it to lots of stuff? I think because they make money either way. I mean, if you're going to play PlayStation Now, they announced 2 sort of possible payment methods. You can have this subscription-based payment where that gives you sort of a variety of games to play, is how they're describing it. Or you pay sort of a la carte rentals, and you can rent individual games.
Okay, so I have a question on the a la carte model. Is it like, do you own it for life or is it just a rental thing? It's not a purchase.
The way that they put it was rental, so I guess they don't have sort of ownership models. At least that they're not. I mean, it's so far very vague on how you're gonna get any of this stuff. But yeah, the things that they've mentioned are subscriptions and rentals. So it's like, yeah, it's like Netflix. I mean, I guess ownership is then they have to guarantee that it will be there forever, and maybe they're not willing to do that. Who knows?
Well, hopefully at E3 they'll be like, PlayStation Plus users, it's free. That's all I want to hear.
Except
That would
it's
be
not.
amazing.
Shut up, RPG.
I'm just saying, you have to be realistic about this. I mean, they might have
I
like
want to believe.
I mean, if they could have like a base model that maybe like there's some type of limitation or something, but for PlayStation Plus users, you can like rent so many or a certain number of games or platforms or something.
The
And
return
then-
of tokens or something like that.
Sure, why not? And then and then like then they can have like a premium super version of it or something, and all that jazz, and
Or
go
just
from there.
discounted with your Plus membership.
Yeah. Don't steal
Yeah.
my idea, Sony, because I'll sue. We have this recorded, so I said it. But yeah, like that, it works. So
But yeah, I mean, if you look at it that way, either way, you are giving money to Sony. You're playing it on your iPad. Doesn't matter. You're giving money to Sony to access those games. And everyone knows how many iPads are out there. There's way more smartphones and stuff than consoles out there. So if all those people are
Unless you're
added
technically-
into their sort of installed base, that makes the PlayStation platform extremely attractive to develop for.
Also known as what Nintendo would be doing if they knew what they were doing.
I mean, they tried. I mean, they made an HD console. What more do you want, Tekken? What more do you want?
Too late.
Too late, dude.
But yeah, it's in my mind, it's become more and more exciting as the day has progressed. It's like, oh, at first it was just sort of, oh wow, they announced it, and very surprisingly, there's going to be a closed beta at the end of this month, and then apparently it's going to launch in the US in the summer. That is a mere 6 months away. That's pretty insane. And then after that, I was like, oh, what did I see? They showed it off at CES playing on a Bravia TV with a DualShock 3, and people were playing PlayStation 3 games. And I was thinking, oh, so either way, they can still sell hardware. Now they can just sell controllers to go with your TVs. That's interesting. And then then they talked about not only PS3 games, but PS2 games and PS1 games, and eventually PS4 games. And then it was like, well, that does sort of mean the end of consoles, but it doesn't mean the end of console gaming. It just means the end of buying a console. You'll just be sort of, I mean, can you imagine some developer somewhere is like, they don't want to be tied to the hardware or whatever. And they can develop for any hardware target they want, as long as they convince Sony to build server farms made of that hardware, and then they can just have these incredibly advanced games, and they don't have to worry about, people aren't going to pay $700 or $2,000 to buy this hardware, because they don't need to buy the hardware. They just need access to PlayStation Now in order to play that game. It's very exciting.
Is it though?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh, just kidding. Totally
Yeah, there's a lot of naysaying about it. First of all, people are talking about lag, and it's like, oh, I'm not going to pay money. How dare you charge me money for a laggy, compressed game thingy? Or the other people who they don't want to buy their games again. Say, oh, I already own the game. Why do I have to buy it again to stream it?
Yeah, so I just thought that was really weird. When it's like, I have to buy it again. It's like, well, you don't. You can just use whatever hardware you have. That's why you don't get rid of it.
What do you mean by buy it again? If you have it, why are you buying it again?
Yeah, just about to say.
You have it.
It's like, it's kind of your own fault if you're buying it again. I mean, if you're Tekkening stuff up, then
Hey, man.
it's your own fault.
Outside of Tekken Tag HD and the God of War Saga, I have not rebought any HD premium editions of PS2, Xbox One, Xbox Duke era games.
I was just about to say, wait, what?
on PS3 and Xbox 360. I would really like a prettier version of Zen Leaders, but I already have it, so it's cool. And Sly Cooper. Oh, I guess I did get the Sly and the Ratchet ones, but those were on sale because PlayStation Plus was like $5, dude, and I was like, $5. How can you pass that up? You can't pass it up, so I did. I bought it. It's totally worth it, even though I haven't played it. It's in my backlog,
Although
but
Ratchet and Clank is awesome though, so it's okay. I understand. I wanted the Zone to the Enders one though.
Besides, I've gone, what is this, January 8th, 8 days without buying a new game RPG, so yeah.
Well, I mean, what would
not including Steam sale.
No, Steam sale doesn't count because, that stuff was on Zelle, and it's
What would you
Steam.
even
So
have bought anyway? I mean, what was released 8 days into the new year? I mean, it's not like there was like a wave of
hey, man, I'm just
games that were
saying,
released.
every week, PSN Store and Xbox Live Marketplace are updating. It's like, ooh, would you like this for
Yeah, but
$5? Would you like this for $10? It's like, that's so low. I could, but I have this ginormo backlog, so I think I'll just
well,
pass.
well, with PlayStation Plus, you at least have like the free games. You can kind of like play those to kind of tip yourself off, so it's not.
Free games.
You can trick yourself into thinking you have new games, and it's like, oh, I have this.
Yourself into thinking.
Any game I haven't played yet is new. Mass Effect is new.
Well, yeah. So it's like when it's free, it's like, hey, I can just play this, cause yeah, which is great. Cause there's a lot of times there's games I want to buy, and then I'm like, should I? And then it ends up being free on the PlayStation Plus thing. I'm like, well, there you go. I don't have to worry about it. So debate over.
So yeah. I mean, so it's very exciting, but there are lots of questions. How much is it going to cost?
Bandwidth
How is
caps.
it going to work? Yeah, bandwidth caps are going to be crazy. I mean, so far they've said that you should be able to get a really good experience with a 5 megabit per second connection.
That's
And-
me.
Oh, really?
I think.
Really?
Isn't okay? Is megabit per second different from the one that's
Yes.
measured?
It is different.
Oh, then that might not be me. Never mind.
There are 4 bits in a byte.
So
Anyway, it's confusing.
I was like, wait a minute.
But I think the average in America is around 30
Is it really
for broadband.
interesting?
I think total is probably closer to 5. But yeah, broadband I think is around 20 or 30 or something like that.
Oh, well, that's good, I guess. Because I mean,
Okay, Tropical. Since I'm confused, how is upload and download speed measured usually? Is it in megabit or megabyte? Because it always confuses me. When people
It's
talk
usually
about
in megabits when they
Okay.
sell it to you.
it. 'Cause
And I
when-
guess
when-
like the
when a
speed
good-
test sites also measure it in megabits.
Okay, so mine is like 6 to 7 up speed, but down speed is like way more. I'd have to check that.
Oh, yeah. No, usually when they talk about experience and stuff, they're talking about download speed. Upload speed is much slower
Yeah.
generally.
I'm trying to look mine up right now.
Hmm.
'Cause I tweeted it. A couple
watch,
days
he's gonna like crash the podcast or something.
No, I'm not gonna run the test. I'm just looking at my tweet
Oh.
about it.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Let's just
it
take a
seems like it
random
should
break for
be
that.
okay for most people.
Oh, well, that's good.
And but yeah, bandwidth caps are going to be an issue. What games are going to be on there? I think is a really big question.
And
Yeah.
the features of them, like, oh well, you can play the single player, but multiplayer.
Yeah.
It's like that's not a
But-
thing.
but
Although
Although,
that dude.
I mean, that's only going to be like an issue for, I guess, like PS3. Because I mean, yeah, there was multiplayer on the PS2 stuff, but there weren't like a bunch of multiplayer games. And the PS1 were, if you had multiplayer, it was just all like the local multiplayer.
I'm just an RPG
stuff
game.
like
I'm just
this.
an RPG dude. Like, you got single player mode and multiplayer mode. That's half a game mode. Okay, not half a game mode, but that's that's like some games that's like half the game. Like Call of Duty, no multiplayer. Pfft, why have I been playing this game?
I'm just wondering what they're going to do, like for controls and stuff, because it's like not all these things
Yeah.
use the same control schemes, and,
So-
and TVs don't come with controllers.
I'm thinking like, yeah, the Bravias are somehow going to support DualShock. I don't understand why they would choose the DualShock 3 exactly, but Yeah.
No select button trap to code. Duh.
that's what
because
We
that's
so
been such an
need it.
important feature. Yeah, like, what the hell? When's the last
Well,
time
yeah,
you used
Why
the
did they
select
take it
button
out?
thing?
Those jerks.
it's going to be weird because like I think the DualShock 3 probably is the best option, even though there's people have problems with it, but it's just like it still has the analog buttons, which PS1 and 2 games, like not lots of them, but some of them used. I think some PS3 games even used it.
Yeah, for like probably like bringing up menus or something.
Yeah, And then it also, so you have to combine that with having the 6-axis motion stuff in there, which some games use. So if you want the greatest number of compatible titles, it's got to be DualShock 3.
True.
Plus, it's wireless. How would you plug a DualShock 2 into a Bravia TV?
Magic.
Exactly.
Aren't you saying that's what PS Now is anyway? So I mean, it's just magic everywhere. But Oh yeah, because the previous controllers used like those big connector thing.
Yeah, it wasn't a
So
USB
it
thing.
wasn't. Yeah, I'm so used to being wireless and stuff. Now it's like all right, that was
There
still a
were
thing.
cables?
It's like that was a thing back in the day, wasn't it?
Yeah, I imagine initially it's probably going to be best on things like Vita, PS4, and possibly Bravia TVs with DualShock 3 controllers. Because tablets and smartphones, I don't think they're going to force you to buy a controller to play them. But then it's going to be
It'd
all
be hilarious if they did.
like virtual buttons and joysticks, and that's just going to... Nobody likes that.
It's gonna be really cluttered on like a smartphone screen or something.
Still, I mean, just the fact that you can do it.
Yeah.
is pretty
Well,
impressive.
just because you can doesn't mean you should. 'Cause, I mean, it's not practical. It's not gonna. Oh.
But yeah, it's exciting to think about what sort of changes they could do to legacy games. For example, the way that multiplayer works now is that everyone scattered across the nation has their own system which acts as a client, and then in most games, like one of them is a server, and everyone sort of all the clients talk to that one, and they're all scattered across the nation. Whereas with a totally cloud-based, for example, Call of Duty, I mean, I guess you could keep it the same, but then the server and all the clients would be in the same room, essentially, because they're all in the same server.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so, like, how does that change multiplayer design? Like, do they have to change up the timings or sort of the, what's it called? The like, smoothing and all those things? Like, I'm wondering, are they going to change some of these games? Or another example is, like, if you had local multiplayer games on PS2, and you put it on the cloud, as far as the hardware and the software is concerned, it is local multiplayer because, they're all in the same server tower, for example. Mm-hmm. And it's just the players on opposite sides of the country. And so could you possibly have online multiplayer, or it would seem like online multiplayer to you for old sort of couch co-op games? So yeah, it's interesting to think, like, are they gonna do things? Are they gonna up the value of some of these things? Because really, if you think about it, it's like, well, this situation is basically if you had your console in Chicago and one guy's cord reached to LA and the other guy's cord reached to Boston, and they're playing. The system thinks they're playing local multiplayer.
That seems
just like they have really long cords.
Huh. Yeah.
So that would be really neat, actually.
Having cords going all over the country? I'm not sure that'd be neat at all.
No, well, I mean, they already are.
Well, I mean,
I guess physical reality, they already are. Oh. It's just that you can use those cords to do this kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, but...
I mean, man, how many couch co-op games can you no longer play with the people that you did back in the day because they're not close enough to you?
All of them?
You could suddenly do that again with this.
I don't even remember playing like a lot of couch co-op if it wasn't like on a Nintendo console, actually, back then. Because I think the only one I did play was like Bomberman World on the was it the original PlayStation? I think it was the original PlayStation.
No, even that, like, that's something that you could do, maybe, if they wanted to.
Man, Bomberman was awesome.
And
Stop eating our
that's
hopes of
why
Tropical
on
Quiche.
what was that?
I said stop eating our hopes of Tropical Gosh.
I know, right?
Talking about all this cool stuff that could, but
No, they're not gonna
that's
do
why
it.
On Live had those kind of features where you could like watch other people playing, or you could do, that's the only one I could think of. But like that's why they could do it, because it was all local to wherever On Live is located.
Would it be up to like the developers of or whoever owns the rights to the games to do this stuff, or would just like
I
Sony be taking care of all that stuff?
Yeah, I don't know enough about the older consoles to say how much work it would take to get it to do these things. I mean, I think evidence of sort of like how every game supports remote play on PS4, and they formed that third-party developers studio at Sony that's just supposed to, like Borderlands 2, they found people to make Borderlands 2 for Vita. I mean, it seems like Sony realizes like no one is gonna just do these things because they can.
Yeah, obviously.
They're just like, well, we have to make it really, really easy for them to do it if we want them to do it. So, like Move was a really cool thing, and I think they just sort of made it and said, this is really cool, and they just hoped that someone would make games for it, and no
Spoiler
one really...
alert, they didn't.
Yeah.
So,
and they had remote play back then, and they had YouTube uploading for games, and you could do things like take screenshots, and just like PS3 had lots of capabilities that games could take advantage of. It's just none of them did.
which made me sad because it's like they had these things like the PSI and stuff, and it's like they had like games. It's like, oh, they kind of show off the potential of it, but then it's like no one wanted to. Then it's like, well, then that makes me sad.
So I think they realize that now, and it's just like, we just have to make it stupid easy so everyone does it, and then then it just it sort of snowballs. It's like, well, if everyone else did, and then we don't have this feature, then it's not, our game suddenly becomes inferior because it doesn't support all the console features.
I think all developers should think like that. Actually put in some effort into their games to be great. But from my understanding, it's supposed to be easier to develop for the PS4 anyway, so...
Yeah, it was just, after seeing the PlayStation Now stuff and having these thoughts that you have just heard recently, it was just, I was just like, I don't know what it is. Like, I suppose I am proud to be a supporter of PlayStation, if that is even a sane thing to think. But it's just...
No, you sound insane right now, Tropical.
Like, what is that? Like, when you're proud to be a supporter? I mean, you're not even involved.
Well, you kind of are. I mean...
Sorta.
I don't know, it's weird. I read different articles about stuff like that, but like most of it's usually painted in like a negative light, but then with the way Tropical's talking about it, it's not as negative as it is when like it's like the fanboyish like tribism of, oh yeah, well, mine's so much better than yours, yeah. It's just the fan part of fanatic of you're just a fan.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that my team is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, each I feel like each of the three are gonna have their fanatical supporters in the background.
Yeah.
It's just not a matter of
how cuckoo they get.
Yeah, to put it nicely. But yeah.
So then, I was just thinking, like, man, this is so cool. And PlayStation, it's crazy that this is it's the beginning of the second week of January. We just went through this whole thing with PlayStation 4 launching and being this humongous launch. And, last year it was all about PlayStation. They could do no wrong. It was just like, oh man, everything you're doing is so great. And then
Then Watch Dogs got delayed. And I was like, F you, Ubisoft. F you. You ruined my dreams. I hate you. But I still buy Division when it comes out.
Yes. yeah, this is so early in the year to have more PlayStation news. That is really exciting PlayStation news. I mean, they announced it today or yesterday, and then at the end of the month, some people will actually be playing it on their home consoles, and that's crazy. And then, they're saying the thing rolls out in the summer. What else is in the summer? It's E3,
And
so
it's cool because like last year everybody was a bit like apprehensive, like I don't know, Gaikai, will it really happen? And now it's like, yep, it's
yeah,
happening.
that's it is.
To me, that's the big thing of like,
insane.
yep, it's actually like, and not only did they just like announce it at like a non E3 event, it's like, oh, so yeah.
Yeah, PlayStation is becoming kind of like how everyone loves Amazon. If you love Amazon, like the way you feel about Amazon is like how I feel about PlayStation right now.
Do you love Amazon too, Tropical? Are you cheating on Amazon? If I'm PlayStation.
Sheesh. People are
Like
ridiculous.
the companies that people love is like that's how it feels right now with PlayStation, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas if you're a company like EA, it's like, oh, they effed up again. Oh,
Oh,
they dropped the
EA.
ball again. Oh, here's another.
Them and their
Here's another
shenanigans.
Firestorm. Oh. Just they can't get it right. It's like, what the F?
Don't they usually win like the worst company every year or
They
something?
won it twice in a row, actually.
Ah,
They might be going
congratulations.
for a 3-point if they don't pick up the ball.
Ah, good job, EA. Well, the way I see it is, if you're going to be terrible, you might as well be the best at something. Why not? Don't just be mediocre like AT&T. Go all in.
I like how we're just like calling out giant corporations right now on the podcast.
But yeah, no, in addition to PlayStation Now, the other big gaming news coming out of CES is Valve finally unveiled a whole bunch of partners for the Steam machines, and also showed off the controller, I think, for the first time on a large scale. Controller impressions so far have been sort of or it's gonna have a learning curve because the controller is very different. And as far as the Steam machines themselves go, I think all of the partners they're all, well, I mean, as far as like gaming PC manufacturers, so Alienware, Origin PC, the one that has a bird as their logo, Falcon, is it?
It might be them. I don't know.
Yeah, so there's
Or
those
Penguin.
guys. Penguin?
I'm just joking.
I was going to say, I don't think anybody... Little penguins are awesome, though.
Yeah, Falcon Northwest, right? Yeah, I think that's a PC gaming.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Anyway, then there's like Gigabyte, and lots of them I've never heard of. And yeah, everyone. It's sort of dampened my enthusiasm for the Steam machine.
Yeah,
For a while,
I had to take it in stride. I was like, well, at least I'll be able to buy that PS4 this year.
yes,
I'll be taking my Steam machine's money and spending it on that.
because
Thanks, Valve. Thanks.
for a while it seemed like, oh, maybe Steam machines are gonna take down the console owners or console holders because Steam machine and people like Steam and stuff. And I think the first announced Steam machine last year was like, oh, it's gonna be $500 and it's more powerful than Xbox One. And yeah, now that we've seen 14 other Steam machines, $500 is low end. Up to, I think the most expensive one was 1,800 that we saw estimated.
Yeah, it was like 18 and some change or something like that.
I don't think this is really going to change the console gaming landscape much. It's just going to be sort of nicer PCs to have in your home theater.
Well, I think the thing is like going forward it will, but day one it will not, because you have to look at like what is available on Steam that runs on Linux, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right, it has to run on Linux to be viable in the Steam OS. So it's like, that's kind of a bummer, but whatever.
One thing, just as far as the combination of price and usability, the Steam machines to me, it seems like they're just coming out as it's sort of a new branding of gaming PCs.
I agree.
And so, with that, it's sort of
However, it's weird because also if you look at, where it runs on Linux, does not run on PC. So therefore, when it comes out, like I said, you'll be extremely limited in what you can do on a SteamOS machine versus what you can do on a PC. It's like, oh, I want to browse the browser. Oh, there isn't one. Or, oh, I want to boot up Netflix. I hope it has support for it. Or, like, whatever programs or whatever you're using on your PC most likely will not be working on SteamOS because it's a completely different operating system. Therefore, it will not be compatible. Therefore, it's like, well, I'll just wait and see. Just like me, it's like, I'll just wait for it. And then eventually when it's there, as long as the games are there, dude, because it's like, if the games aren't there, it's not happening. So that's like that's like the main thrust right now. It's like, well, can it run on Linux? Because if not, Steam machines, no thank you. I mean, sure, you could just like install like another OS onto the hard drive that it comes with, and then be like, oh, I have an awesome gaming PC for cheap. But then it's like, couldn't you just build your own for that much money?
But wait, how does this Steam machine thing work? Is it just like a box that you hook to? Is it like, does it work like a regular console or?
Okay. Well, it doesn't though. Like basically, what it is, I mean, yeah, I guess it is closer to a console than a PC because it runs SteamOS, which is an operating system based on Linux, but it is totally
dedicated for
geared toward games. Yeah, which is, it's kind of the same. Like the PS3 operating system is, can't remember. Anyway, but yeah, regardless of what it's built on, it's dedicated to gaming for the most part.
And then the thing is like you have to compare it to like its competition. It's like, okay, well, PS4 and Xbox One do this. Does the Steam box do this, or a Steam machine do this? It's like, oh, well, if like the less no I hear and the more yes I hear, then the happier I will be in coming to the side of Valve on this one. But until then, it's like, oh, well, Netflix and Amazon Instant Video and a browser that I can browse the internet with and all this other cool stuff that's not on Linux, or at least not when I boot up and then go into Steam OS and it's like, oh, big picture mode. It's like, but I want to do some other stuff. Yeah. So it's like that barrier to entry is still there. It's it's even more bigger than it is on the consoles when it's just like, oh, put the disc in and play.
Because it's going to be similar to a console in the sense that you probably will be able to hook it up as easily and then turn it on and it'll just boot into sort of this game operating system. But it's not going to be the same in that because there's so many different types, you can't be 100% guaranteed that games will work on it. So even though the games are on Steam, not necessarily going to work on your Steam machine because of, and I'm pretty sure they're going to filter out the ones that don't run on Linux.
The ones that don't run on Linux on the Steam OS.
I'm pretty sure it will, but not necessarily. It's going to have the issues that PC gaming has always had. There's going to be driver updates, and updates for PC hardware are way more frequent than. That's probably not true. There are more types of hardware updates on PCs than consoles. And, depending on the type of Steam machine you get, the game will run differently depending on which one you have, depending on how much money you want to spend on it. So, yeah, to me, it feels like this is still sort of PC gaming, which I think PC gamers like. But, I don't think that's how you reach the console audience. So I don't think that this is really going to change the console landscape that much. Even in the long run, I don't think so.
I don't know about the long run. I think in the long run, it has the potential to do it, but day one, not so much. Because it's if you look at the way Steam's evolved, it's just like gotten better and better, and then even like the Steam machines that they're offering, the specs will get faster and faster, even though they'll keep like a, well, hopefully, I'm hoping they like keep having awesome ones, but like a sane price point and not the crazy $1,800 that they did. You really have to do that? But yeah,
Yeah. I think
Whereas
that's a
like
big
PS4 and
thing.
Xbox One is like you're stuck with those specs. Like you can't really, except for like hard drive space. Like the clock speeds and the memory is still going to be the same. You can't really upgrade those. Whereas on Steam machines, that's like one advantage of you can. Well, I hope they have them to where you can like actually get into them with Phillips head screwdrivers and not just be stuck with the specs you're stuck with.
But see, like, that sort of, it's like Crisis. Back when Crisis came out, no, very few people had PCs that could run it, and so Crisis didn't really make much of an impact, even though it was this. Like, that's why people don't generally make games targeted towards the highest end PCs that are out there, because there aren't many people who are going to be able to buy your game. And so, even with Steam machines, like, would you target the high-end Steam machines, or would you target the most common Steam machines? And so, that's why even today, like, I don't think there's really a point in upgrading to the latest PC hardware all the time, because nothing you play is going to be using it. Sure, I'll use it a little bit, you'll get better frame rate and things like that, but that's not, for me anyway, I don't think that's worth the investment.
Well, at least it'll be cheap sales on Steam, so $5 games are awesome stuff.
That's the only thing. If they can get lots of those.
But then, like what I was just talking about, as far as like you could just if you can swap in the components or whatever, then it's like, well, then what's the point of Steambox even being there when you can just do that on my PC already have? It's like I could just do the same thing with the same money and not.
And my PC does lots of other stuff too.
It's like a weird Ouya that's like way more awesome, but just doesn't know its place. Because it's weird, because like it also is like a all digital platform, so you can't put a disc in and be like, all right, let's play this game. It's like all digital, which is pretty interesting. But like the chart I showed you guys before, it's like there may be new enterers. I don't think that's entrance into the console/gaming/dedicated gaming, whatever we're gonna call this new thing, space. But consoles are still reigning supreme for me, and it's so yeah.
Yes, I don't think consoles are going anywhere.
They can't, because
actually no. I do think consoles are sort of, if PlayStation Now works, I think consoles are sort of done. I
disagree because like
I don't think so.
I think even though you have the streaming apparatus that you have now, there would still be proponents still wanting to push the tech to like whatever the next like.
But see, with PlayStation Now, like what I was talking about earlier, is you don't have to make the tech for everyone to buy. You can just make the tech, keep it at home, and then stream all that stuff out to people.
But Tropical, there's always gonna be those weirdos that are like RPG and like, I like my physical copies. I want to go.
Hey, how's that weird? Because I like physical copies and stuff. What the hell?
Well, it's actually ironic because, dudes, I was all hell digital era that we were coming to, digital distribution, blah blah blah, and then Marvel up and went like, oh, Ultimate vs. Capcom 3 digital versions, you can't get them. Also, all the other Marvel games that are not the Lego Marvel. Sorry, dudes. And it's like, what? So like, luckily I got Deadpool on the Steam store. I was, I'd be able to buy the game because I'm not going out to the store and buying that game. I want to sit at home and download a game and have it download and be like, all right, ready to play in my boxers.
Oh, I blame Marvel for that. But
it's like, just as I was like, oh man, digital is the future, embracing it so much, Marvel comes in and is like, oh, let me show you the dark side. Why it's not always so great. Oh, you can't get all these games anymore, sorry. And then with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, of course, it's going to be like a situation where it was with Marvel vs. Capcom 2, where like the few units that are out there will just like scarcity will happen. And it's like, oh, it's super rare and super expensive.
$90 a copy or something. Yeah.
And we'll never get Marvel vs. Capcom 4 for another 10 years, if we ever do.
If I was about to say if.
And hopefully Capcom will just learn and be like, you know what, Capcom All Stars, because we don't need you, Marvel, and go for yourselves.
Whoa.
Make it happen.
Whoa. Marvel is awesome.
I'm just saying, dude. It's like if they want to chokehold the rights because they're owned by Disney now, then it's not worth it.
Hey. We leave Disney out of this.
Oh god, you're a Disney fanboy too. I forgot.
Um. Well, we'll see. I mean, none of us thought that PS4 needed to come out.
I know, right?
Well,
So,
in all fairness,
maybe the PS4 can go forever for the people who want physical stuff.
Well, it's not so much that
Radical.
I don't think we. It's not so much that we didn't think it didn't need to be whatever. It didn't need to be like released or whatever. I just thought that it was kind of soon. Personally,
Yeah, it's
for
like
my
it just like
it wasn't just
that
like
year didn't need to come out that year.
yeah. It's like I mean, I figured it was gonna come eventually. Just
Well,
just
yeah,
thought it was
right.
kinda soon.
But you know, just imagine like if the PS4 came out in 2 years, and then whatever the technology would be at that point, and then carry that out for a decade, maybe decade and a half, PS4.
Mhm.
Then by then, if PlayStation Now works today, it's like
think by
what
then
is
they
the
would've already
reason
got
for
the
a
chips.
PS5
Well,
in 15 years, in 20 years?
because I mean, you still PlayStation Now only like streams games though. I mean, there's other stuff that you do on your consoles that's not necessarily. Well, but I guess you can
Or that
stream
like
that to
if
the.
it's being streamed, it could be a detriment to the gameplay experience, and therefore you can not have it if you're streaming it. So it's like, well, we got to make this new hardware, dude. So
I don't know. I just feel like there'd be some problem somewhere somehow, and
You just don't want it to happen.
maybe that's what it is.
But I feel like yeah, if PlayStation Now works really well, and you know, from the beginning is the thing, like because it's a cloud thing, it will improve over time, and internet speeds improve over time. You know, everything is trending upwards as far as these are concerned, except for bandwidth stuff. So, you know, like you have to. That's sort of the negative force on it,
Oh,
and the
yeah, I forgot
positive
about that.
force is increasing technological prowess versus the greed of business people. So like whatever wins out in that. But yeah, like 15 years in the future, I don't see a reason for them to release another $400 console. Maybe they release
It won't be
a
$400.
$100, a $50 box that you just hook up to your TV, and it does all the things that you do on your console now, and it does these incredibly advanced, what we would consider to be PlayStation 5 games.
I'll believe it when I see it.
it'll be called the Steam Box 2 or Steam Machines 2.0 or something. Yeah.
I considered that today. I was like, you know what could possibly happen with PlayStation Now is you could have PlayStation Now on Xbox One. Of course, then no one would buy a PS4. So that won't happen. But still, it was like, yeah, conceivably, you could have PlayStation Now on Steambox.
I think you might be onto something though, Chapter, because I think like if like as the power of like all the smartphones and tablets go up and up and up and they match and catch the consoles, which is it hasn't happened yet, but like when it does, like that is like the point when you can have like those console experiences on a non-console device anywhere, and it's like
Yeah.
not tethered to your console if you want to play that stuff.
Yeah, like what we were talking about with the new console is basically the tax that you pay to play the game you want to play. So it's like, why would you do what Nintendo is doing today, and just like, oh, you want to play this new Mario, then give us $350. And it's just like, not many people are doing that anymore. You have to have more than Mario, Nintendo. Come on now. It's like, nope. That's what they want to do. You want to play Mario? Here.
And then like it's also possible that like the pricing structures on the PlayStation Now just don't bring in the revenues that like the $60 box copies of games do. Like the billions of GTA and Call of Duty dollars will just like not be there if you're streaming it all the time for a little bit here every month, for like monthly fee.
Possibly. See, that's another thing. Like, that is all the billions that Call of Duty and all those do. It's tied to install base. So what happens if your install base? It's
that's good
everyone with a TV.
Yeah. You
Everyone
actually
was
grow the base as opposed to
Yeah.
like limiting it to the few who have the console. So it's like you guys like an inverse of like it's kind of
Yeah.
like the Wii situation where it's like everybody that didn't want it is all of a sudden like, oh, what's that? And, but like as opposed to Wii, it's not just on the Wii. It's like I can get it on any device, and they just spread the digital crack throughout the PlayStation Now land. It's like, oh, you want it on your iPhone? There you go. You want it on your Android tablet? There you go. You want it on your Xbox 2? There you go.
Exactly. Like if I didn't have to buy a Wii U, I would be playing Super Mario right now. But I have to buy a Wii U. It's more like I guess Facebook games. Those few years when Farmville was the most played game on Earth. It's like, why is that? It's because everyone has a PC.
The dark times
The dark time.
of casual land.
Glad that's over.
Macaroni cheese, or as I call them now, landfill games. Because they spread across the land in the garbage bins that they are. Because they're so terrible.
Oh my.
Because everybody plays them, and then they're like, a couple of days later, they're not. And they're in their deleted or blocked bins of, oh, don't send me an invite anymore, I don't play it anymore. Or they get taken down, like SimCity Social and Dragon Age Legends or whatever. It's like, oh, we only had it out for a bit, and now it's gone. Yeah.
Yes.
We've milked the cow for all it's worth, and now we will send it to the slaughterhouse, and then someone will take what's left and throw it in the landfill, and it will rot with the rest of them. Nah.
Oh my.
So yeah,
It just
like
piles up in the landfill.
the number of people who could have played Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto or whatever.
But then, like, there was just, like, this ginormous thing that might be ginormous where China's like, oh, we're going to lift the ban on video game consoles. So who knows what that could be? That could be, like, the hugest story of the year. Just, like, China's like, yeah, well, we were banning them, whatever. Well, let's lift it. And, like, just that's, like, billions of people just right there. Just, oh, you want this? Oh, here you go. Here's your digital crack. Enjoy it. That you've been deprived of all these years under your government's rule. Actually, I read something where like Nintendo stock went up because of that. So yeah.
It's weird. So yeah, that's what I had from CES. Incredibly
like-
positive impressions of PlayStation Now.
Were there like game announcements too? Did they do that there, or was that just like random announcements from?
They just happened
companies?
to happen at this
Oh.
time. So Game Informer came out and revealed the Turtle Rock game that 2K bought from THQ when they died. It's a game called Evolve, and essentially it's so the way I think about it is it's 4 versus 1. So 4 players play as hunters and 1 person plays as like a giant monster thing that can grow bigger. So it's that plus, so it's like Predator plus Alien Swarm, that free Steam game, because there are different classes of hunters that you can play as, and then each class has lots of different characters inside of it, and each of those characters has different attributes. And it sounds kind of cool. I would play that.
No, you wouldn't.
Because like the hunters, yeah, they have all these different gadgets and stuff, and you're in this giant sort of forest environment. And then the monster player, the monster currently is called Goliath. There's all this wildlife also running around in the wild environment, and the monster can eat these things and evolve into a bigger monster over time. And so it has 3 different stages. Like in the beginning, the monster is weaker than the hunters, and so he has to do stealth and stuff and like hunt these creatures. And even if he eats one of the other players, also gets closer and closer to evolving. And then evolves to stage 2, which is
like a Pokemon.
a lot bigger and this is true. During stage 2, like the 2 sides are most even, and then by stage 3, apparently the monster is like 30 feet tall and is just super powerful.
That sounds awesome.
And then sort of the table is turned. So
Okay, now I'm wondering like how that would play if you're playing the monster that's like 30 foot tall and super powerful. Like, what would that be like?
Well,
It's
you
already
can
weird
find
on,
out.
like Left 4 Dead 2 or Left 4 Dead whatever when you're playing versus mode as tank. It's just like really weird and awkward controls. And I'm like wondering
you're
if you're
gonna
30
be a
feet tall,
giant tank.
can I just step on people? Because that would be awesome.
I'm
Like
sure
the way they did it is that the monster has 4 different special abilities, and like at the beginning you get to choose 2 of them, and then when you evolve to stage 2 you choose another one, and then stage 3 you choose the last one. Then you have all 4 abilities, and the abilities so far are something was it a charge move, so like the tank, throwing rocks like the tank, some
A
sort of
laser
like
beam?
a smash, you jump down
Laser
smash people, and almost it's a breathing fire.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
that will always be my level 1 level up fire breath.
Because
And
I mean, why not?
yeah, so like when you're 30 feet tall and have all of these, you're pretty awesome. And obviously, so the hunters obviously win if they kill the monster. And the monster wins by either killing all of the hunters, and like the hunters can also respawn, sort of. So there's like the incapacitated state from Left 4 Dead. So you can go down and your buddies can revive you, but you can only do that a certain number of times before you die. But if you die, it is like Left 4 Dead. You sort of respawn in a dropship, and they're sort of timed. So if 2 people died, and there's a little, they have to wait amount of time, and then they both come down in the same dropship. So the monster has to sort of strategically like kill everyone within a short amount of time.
Or just nuke them all. I mean,
Monster can't do that. Could breathe fire though, so maybe you could breathe fire on all. Or the monster has to complete some objective. So there'll be things like, monster has to destroy this tower.
Interesting.
So yeah, Evolve, it's sounding really cool. I'm pretty excited.
A similar game was actually announced recently too, which is probably unfortunate for them because it's like, the Left 4 Dead people beat you to the punch already. So, whoops. I think it's called like Outrise or something like that.
Yep, that one.
Where it's like the 4 characters against like a boss machine thing or something. Way, shape, or
I'm
form.
glad there's more 4-player co-op stuff coming finally, because I remember back in the day, Left 4 Dead 1 came out, I was like, dude, there's going to be like a new rise of 4-player co-op games. It never happened. I was like, what the F? They're like Borderlands, but that was like it. And it's like, what? How can people not? And I guess there's that other Dead Island game, but F that game. So
I think what's the case is that it's hard to make.
Hard to make.
There are certain trends that people are like, we should totally cash in on that because they're easy.
Because even like Call of Duty just like made it a separate mode with zombies, so
yeah.
That was lazy.
Or there are just like the 4-player co-op modes, like even Mass Effect has like the whole multiplayer 4-player co-op mode. So not like a whole game based around it.
Would be great if there were more of those though.
Yes, it would be.
Like The Order. Yes. I'm assuming that's going to be like that.
Yes.
That would be cool.
Which hopefully comes out after September.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking too. Because I'm like, I don't plan on getting a PS4 until like the end of the year at the earliest. So.
And again, if it comes out after Destiny, that just means I'm not going to play it as much. Oh well.
That's true too. Yeah, because when I saw the release date for Destiny, I was like, okay, so
Yep,
at least sometime after September would be like
my lucky day.
Oh, but Destiny has the co-op thing as well, so there's that.
I think it's 3-player.
I'm gonna
Is
cut
it?
out so hard on that game.
And then there's like the giant events. I don't remember. They probably haven't announced yet. And then the other game that was announced was Alien Isolation, which is taking a page from recent indie horror games like Slender and Outlast and Amnesia, where your character has no weapons to speak of, and you're just running from alien.
Which, I mean, pretty much means you're gonna die, is how that spells out. Because
Or just gonna run a lot. No, it's gonna be weird because Slender
I don't
and
know.
Amnesia, I think they work really well because you don't really know what's. Or I don't know about Slender, but Amnesia works really well because you're not really sure that you're in danger. You just sort of assume because it's all really scary and stuff. Whereas with aliens, like, well, you know it's alien.
I just want to say, you know what's gonna happen.
It's just sort of like, why are you even here?
That's a good question, actually.
No, but apparently Alien Isolation takes place after the first Alien movie. Because in Aliens, the sequel takes place, was it hundreds of years later or something like that? Because Ripley has been in deep space sleep or something.
Oh, she's always doing something, being cloned, being sleep.
So after the first one, there's supposed to be like her daughter goes to find her in deep space.
Why would she do that?
As her daughter. And
Because
Run
RPG,
the
in the Aliens universe, you're just poking around in space like, whoop, what happened? Let's go find out.
It's like, it's an
And
awful
then
lot of
stuff
dead bodies
goes
around
down.
here.
how bad could it be?
It's like, oh, we found these markings on Earth. Let's go investigate it in deep space. Oh, there's a distress call from that ship that went out in deep space. Let's go investigate it.
Oh, dead space.
Oh, it's been 100 years later, and we still haven't got any word from that. Let's go investigate it.
Yeah, you'd think people would learn their lesson. It's like, clearly something horrible happened. Because, like, why would you think anything otherwise? It's like, they were living happy and peaceful. They would have been sending you transmissions all the time. It's like, oh, look at the party we're having, guys. Yeah. But no, you didn't get
They got
that.
lost, and their phones ran out of batteries.
No, Chop. No. They got brutalized by a bunch of alien serpent monsters who ate their faces. So no. No. You don't go investigate. You say, whoops, sucks to be them. Gonna stay over here where it's safe and not full of aliens that trying to kill me with the little mini mouths in their mouths. So no.
Mini
No.
mouths in their mouths.
The sequel would have been Space Bubble. Yeah, we got externally intruded, so we're gonna live in our space bubble now. Alien 2, Space Bubble.
I think they would have learned, but they never do.
Actually, Tropical, it's funny you mentioned that because I did see another crazy documentary that made me afraid of another everyday item. That I'm like,
Oh,
I should just launch myself into space right now if I could, because I'm so super paranoid now. Thanks.
What was it of?
It was
like,
Gasland 2 with, all the stuff in the water, and then there's only a finite amount of water, and when the water runs out, dude, what's gonna happen, dude? I don't know, dude. I'm so freaking out, dude. I'm scared. RPG, hold me. I'm gonna launch myself into space. Space
we'll be
bubble.
fine. Trust me. I don't think.
Pretty sure there's less water in space.
Yeah, there's a lot less water in space actually. Because
That's the problem. Because when you launch yourself into space, you're even more effed. So it's like that doesn't solve anything. No.
Don't worry, I'm sure there'll be some solution to our water problem
Mm-hmm.
by the time that's actually an issue. So you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
What you just have to worry about is those weird serpent alien things coming and trying to kill us all. Because that could be a problem. That could be a problem. Moral of the story is never answer a distress call. It's just not going to end well for you.
That's what they're for, RPG.
Yeah, I figure
Actually, it's
distress
funny
calls are more like
because,
warning.
that
They
there's
are.
totally a distress beacon moment in Tomb Raider. It's like, yep, always happens. That's why you don't answer them. Yep.
Check it out. It's like, oh no, you're breaking up. There's all this static. It's like you're getting what? You're being what? I just can't hear you. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna have to hang up.
Yeah. Actually, like Tomb Raider is just like in Dead Space, where you're the one that sent the messages, and you're like, oh, I probably shouldn't have did that. Oh well, and then you're like, oh well, it might not. Oh, and it just everything goes to crap, and it's like, oh, yep, this all happened because of me. No, why?
Good times. People are stupid.
So I guess rule number 2 would be there's never a rescue mission that goes as planned in a video game because somebody's gonna
Ain't
die.
that the truth? Or your princess will end up being in another castle. So, there's just no way to win.
So I guess that's it for our little mini episode of Aimless Babble Z, unless we have anything to add.
Nope.
Alrighty. So yeah, say before I wrap it up and ship it away to the internet.
New season starts soon, so
Eventually.
yeah, I guess I shouldn't say soon. Although it will be in the year.
Well, yes. We're kind of aiming for that.
But
And also, the last episode of Aimless Babble Z was like really garbledy audio-wise, which hopefully this one isn't. So I forgot to put it on the website. I was just gonna like embed the YouTube thingy because there was like no real way to get the audio salvaged to make a video of it. So that'll be up, and you can be like, "Oh, what did you do, Tegan?" And I'll be like, "Well, you know, technology, dudes, it doesn't work sometimes and stuff." However, hopefully, if everything goes as planned and this works, we'll be able to revert back to what we were doing, and everything is cool. And not to worry about stupid Pamela not working and Skype not working and the whole issue there. Whatever. But yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the PS4 will solve that issue for us. Podcast app on PlayStation. Make it happen, Jack Tridden, just saying. But yeah, until next episode, or until you see or hear from us again, Aimless Babble Z. What'll happen on the next episode? Will our three heroes return for a amazing podcast of awesomeness? Will we have more details on the Steam machines and stuff? Will there be more games announced for next-gen consoles? Who knows? Find out on the next episode of Aimless Babble Z.